than what's being experienced in Ukraine. Ask our Vietnamese friends, our Vietnamese brothers, ask our Cambodian brothers. Ask them how many times they've been invaded. Ask our Vietnamese friends how many times we have been invaded. Ask Indonesians how many times we have been invaded. We know war.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Balik lagi kita di channel Sumber Dakwah Official. Nah, kali ini kita akan melihat momen Pak Prabowo Subianto dicecar dengan pertanyaan tajam oleh para delegasi Eropa. Masya Allah. Dan hal yang sangat mengejutkan, beliau menjawab dengan tegas dan gaya elegan beliau membuat para wakil-wakil dari Eropa tersebut terdiam, bungkam, membisu. Ini aurah-aurah presiden terpilih 2024 sudah mulai melihatkan taringnya. Masya Allah. Langsung saja kita berikutnya tanpa berlama-lama. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Minister Prabowo, by saying we shouldn't put blame on any side of the war in Ukraine, you basically drew an equivalence between the invader, Russia, and the invaded, Ukraine. So my question to you is, does the non-aligned position in 2023 consist in encouraging aggressors?
Minister Prabowo, I have a similar question about Myanmar. President Jokowi said earlier this year that Indonesia had a particular history that it could share with Myanmar's generals about its transition to democracy. You were present during those events in 1998, and you have been an active participant in Indonesia's democracy for the last 20 years. So I wonder, in your particular capacity, what advice you would give to Myanmar's generals if you had the chance. Thank you.
So my question to the Minister Prabowo is, as Indonesia is a ASEAN chairman for this year, how Indonesia can work closely together with Thailand, which is another ASEAN member, and China, which is ASEAN partner, to mitigate or, if possible, to address the Myanmar crisis.
I would also like to refer to the proposals from Minister Prabowo to solve the conflict in Ukraine. I would like to ask you, Minister, why didn't you address the Russian aggression, that this was the only reason for this conflict, and that if Ukraine stops to defend itself, the sovereignty of Ukraine would be gone, and if Russia stops the war, the conflict would come to an end. And if we follow your proposals to come to a ceasefire, wouldn't this only cement a new frozen conflict in Europe?
To use a proper language and to bring some clarity, saying there is no Ukrainian-Russian conflict, there is Russian invasion of Ukraine, and there are no disputed territories in Ukraine, because Ukraine only has the territory of 1991, which was established and has not changed since then, so this is the only internationally recognized borders of Ukraine. But I think there is a major illusion also that if we have a ceasefire, as it is now, we will have a decrease in atrocities. Actually, I think that it will only bring not to cessation of atrocities, but actually to increase in them, giving Russia a free hand in raping Ukrainian women, in killing civilians, and also in kidnapping Ukrainian children from the occupied territories. So I do think that we have to be very clear in what we say.
John, thank you. I don't know if I can answer these questions in 3 minutes, but I will try. Several questions insinuated that I'm equating between the invader and the invaded. I think this is an emotional reaction, but what I'm putting forward is conflict resolution. I'm not saying which side is right or wrong, and I think this is being taken mistakenly, because Indonesia's position is very clear. In the United Nations, we voted against the Russian invasion. We voted. You can check our voting record. We are not talking about right or wrong. I'm just proposing that we attempt at conflict resolution, and this has been done historically. Please, our European friends, please do not think in terms of 5 or 10 years. Think in terms of 50 years. We in Asia, we have our share of conflict, of war. Maybe more disastrous, more bloody than what's being experienced in Ukraine. Ask our Vietnamese friends, our Vietnamese brothers, ask our Cambodian brothers. Ask them how many times they've been invaded. Ask our Vietnamese friends how many times we have been invaded. Ask Indonesians how many times we have been invaded. We know war. We want to resolve. We want to help. But again, it's up to the two parties. What is the United Nations for? If not for conflict resolution? Why is a proposal for a demilitarized zone so taken as if it's not rational? We have a demilitarized zone in Korea. We had a demilitarized zone between North and South Vietnam. We had a demilitarized zone in the Sinai. We have now United States monitoring force in many countries. There are conflicts not only in Europe. There are violations of sovereignty not only in Europe. Ask our brothers in the Middle East. Ask the Africans. Ask the people of the Democratic Republic of Congo. How many countries invaded them? There are United Nations forces in the Congo. So what I'm proposing is how we try to resolve this conflict by respecting the United Nations. That's all. I'm not equating aggression with the aggressors. Please understand, we in this part of the world, we have been victims of aggression many, many times. I think that's my answer. And for Myanmar, very clear that ASEAN has not accepted the authoritarian and the activities and lethal actions of the Myanmarese military regime against their own people. So that is very clear.
Masya Allah, itu kualitas presiden kita kan, presiden terpilih. Pokoknya Pak Jokowi memang tak salah pilih untuk mendukung Pak Prabowo Subianto menjadi penerus beliau. Masya Allah. Tentunya kalau Abah atau yang Amin yang di sana mungkin beda cerita, mungkin agak lain mungkin. Apa pendapat kalian? Nah, saya akhiri, tetap jaga persatuan Indonesia, jangan mau terpecah belah, jangan mau diadu domba, NKRI harga mati. Saya akhiri, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Free Palestine.